This series is intended for mature audiences.
It's like I found him with his head fully submerged.
Clyde, do you have any idea what's going on in the story?
No. She started telling us about a nightmare, and then now we're hearing about a dad with a head in a trough. Like, is it relevant?
I feel like we really opened up about some deep personal trauma, and she's just sort of going rogue on this one a little bit.
Yeah, it sort of seems like she's taking the piss. Like, why is she smiling? She just mentioned that her mum and dad bumped uglies that night, and she's got a smile on her face. Like, I've been through some shit, but nothing that would make me smile about people having sex in my house.
Yeah, I'm not real sure about what's going on with that either.
The Multiverse Collective.
So, we enter in on the All-Father's Hearth, a small inn on the road between Bon Medierbin and north of Bon Medierbin.
It's like South Detroit.
And we see it's an empty evening at the bottom floor of this inn, and we see a rather jolly balding man sitting around a table with Guinan, Clyde, and Brutus. All four of them have a big tankard of ale. So you see Benzema is in the middle of kind of explaining the scenario. And he says,
well, usually we got more of a menu, but recently we've got some visitors who've been making off with my supplies. Listen, all I'm asking is that you take a look tonight. Just keep an eye on things when I can make sure that everything's in your power so I can have a good night's sleep. And you do that for me, I'll give you a free night. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
I prefer the cash compensation offer. Yeah, free night, bonus, free sleep. But, we just walked like 8 hours and you're just like, oh, here's a bed for doing all this work and staying up all night.
Well, you see, right here on the quest scroll,
and he points to just like an illegible scribble.
He says, I very clearly and evidently wrote that in addition to the free night, I'll give you each. Now, I don't have a ton to go around because of these rapscallions stealing all my stores, but I can give you 300 each. I know it's not much, but it's what I can spare just to make sure that this business keeps on running. I can have food on my table every night.
Okay. Yep. Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Guinan didn't even understand that they were doing this for a reward. She was just along for the ride.
Wonderful. So, hey, let me show you what's going on here.
And he gets up from the table and he opens a door on the back wall that leads outside.
We all follow, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clyde's just gonna look around, looking for these. Clyde can't remember what Pokemon that Guinan was talking about before, but he's just like, there's supposed to be several Pokemon for this Santa man. So,
as you guys walk outside, you see another small clearing in the back of this building. You see a few tables with some thatched kind of umbrella looking things. You see a fire pit with some stumps around it. And so Benzema just kind of points and he's just like,
so here's a little outside area. It's nice. Think I'll call it a patio. And there,
and he turns over and points to a cellar door. He said,
this is where I keep my rations and my stores. But as you can see,
and he points to broken broken chains on the ground.
Whatever's been coming in has been breaking all my locks, coming in, taking what they can get, and leaving. If I were able to be a Zatu and stay up 24 hours a day, I'd be able to catch them myself. But fortunately, I'm only human. So that's why I've been looking for you three.
All Father bless that you're not a Zatu.
Do you bleed when you fall down?
Did you just ask if I bleed when I fall down?
So-
What?
That's what I want to know. What kind of a question is that? Usually I get. Do you guys have fresh meat?
Wait, do you have fresh meat?
No, Brutus, he doesn't have food to offer on the menu.
We've been walking for 8 hours. I am hungry.
How about mead with a D? Do you have mead? Mead.
Oh, I got plenty of that. Look, I can see what I can whip up for you. If you want to go ahead and start the night watch, I'll whip you up some din. I'll bring it out to you, and I'll be right off to bed. But I'm just gonna be upstairs, so come knock on my door if you need me.
Just make sure it's none of that bubble and squeak shit.
Righto.
What?
And Benzema nods knowingly and walks back in to go get some dinner prepared.
Brutus, bubble and squeak is just refried old food. So, I want fresh food.
I see.
Guinan was hoping it was alcohol.
As a little while later, Benzema, at this point the sun is set. Benzema brings you all a plate of food. You get like a couple of sausages and some like porridge looking thing. And he hands you all a plate and he says,
All right, well, I'm gonna turn in for the eve, but hopefully this'll quench your little stomachs, and I guess I'll see you in the morning. Hope you find whatever culprits have been digging through my cellar.
We'll take a look.
Appreciate it.
Clyde's going to gather some firewood, so they're not going to freeze in the cold.
Guinan's gonna start looking around for clues, I think. See if she can figure out if they're like tracks or anything.
go ahead and roll 2d6 plus special. And then Clyde, if you also want to do the same, I know you were talking about trying to understand what Pokemon are in the area. If you want to do the same, you can also roll 2d6 plus special.
That is a 10 plus 1 for my special.
I got a 7.
Okay, so Clyde, with a 7, you're not really from here, but you grew up in a forest. This is like a pretty standard pine forest, so you can assume that the majority of Pokemon out here are pretty. There's a mix of your kind of like mammalian normal types. So, you'll get like a Zigzagoon, Poochyena, maybe if you're lucky, like an Ursaring or something like that. Then you also have your run-of-the-mill, your kind of grass types, your bug types. So you kind of get the feeling that this is still a pretty populated area. It's right off the main road. So you're probably not going to see anything crazy this evening. Guinan, with your roll, so in the waning light of the evening, you're able to see that there are some tracks, and with an 11, you're able to see that there are a set of 3 small footprint tracks that are in this like fresh mud outside, and you can see it goes from in the brush. You can see that there's the slightest bit of tramp down vegetation from the northwest, with these footprints in this mud over to the cellar, over kind of by where like a pile of these chains sit, and then you can see the footprints go back that same way.
I think Guinan will just immediately point it out to the guys. She doesn't know enough about Pokemon to recognize what these tracks are. But I think she's hoping that Clyde or Brutus might know.
Can you tell if they're bipedal or quadrupedal from the tracks?
Yeah, with both of those rolls combined, they're definitely quadrupedal, and it's definitely small.
Okay. Can I try and use my knowledge to try and figure out what Pokemon it is?
Yeah, and I'll say because you got a mixed success, I'll say you can add 1 to this roll.
Okay. So is it another special roll, yeah?
Yeah.
11. Well, wait, 12. Dirty 12, though.
Okay. With a dirty 12, you have seen... Actually, you haven't seen these prints before, which kind of throws you off. Like, you're pretty good when you're looking at these things. You're pretty good at telling, your standard kind of quadrupedal Pokemon. So, like, you know what a Zigzagoon's footprints look like. You know what a Bidoof's footprints look like. Poochyena. You can even tell, like, if there's a Sentret that's like running on all fours, you know what that looks like. But these don't look like anything like that. So you can tell that, well, there's nothing that's like exorbitantly rare in these woods here. This is definitely a Pokemon that you're not super familiar with.
Okay.
Cool. And then just so I know what's going on, what is your plan for this night watch? Are you guys just going stealthy and are going to try and ambush the ambushers?
Boris is basically sitting on a log as still as possible, just staring directly forward. Mind totally empty. Just
Hell yeah. All right.
the Drax method of stealth.
Clyde's just gonna put his feet up where he can and just watch the forest.
Guinan is crouched in a bush with her Sandile.
Okay. I need you all to each roll 1d6.
I got a 2.
5.
4.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys take your positions at different areas of this clearing. And it's already pretty late because it's we're pretty far north and it's the summer solstice. So by the time the sun actually fully sets and day turns completely to night, it's probably already about like 10:30 p.m. So as you guys sitting still and getting adjusted to the evening, you guys are able to hear it and get the jump on it. You hear a rustle in the bushes in the area where Guinan pointed out these tracks, and you hear rustling, and then you hear the very soft footprints of Pokemon in mud. And I will actually say with those combined rolls, you are able, because your eyes have been adjusted to the darkness and they are not expecting people to be out there, you're able to clock them before they clock you. And you see 3 Sprigatito walking into this clearing, and they look, you notice 2 things about them. The first is that they all look very small and like thinner than you would expect a Pokemon of that stature to look like. And 2, while they don't see you necessarily, they're definitely nervous. Like as soon as they hear, like a Noctowl swoops by pretty low, and they freeze for a good 5 seconds before slowly making their way again towards the cellar. And I guess, how long are you going to let this go?
Yeah, Brutus will sort of sit there and he'll clock him with his eyes, but he's just sort of sitting there, not moving. And he sort of very slowly motions to everybody else not to move yet. Let them get closer. Because if we move now, they're going to scatter.
Clyde wasn't even paying attention to Brutus, but he's just gonna, keep his feet up, keep staring them down until they get at least to the cellar.
Guinan's locked in.
Okay, so you guys are all locked in. You're watching this happen. You see one of these Sprigatito has like a small twig in its kind of hair piece, on the top of its head. It shakes it out, and it is able to pick it up with one of its legs, and you see that Benzema put another lock and chain on the cellar. And you see that this Sprigatito, the other two kind of hold it steady as this one Sprigatito goes up to the lock with this twig and starts picking this lock.
I feel like Clyde would just watch because this is really interesting to see.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it really,
it's mesmerizing.
Brutus is more fascinated about what the hell's happening. And honestly, waiting for them to get into the cellar is the best place to trap them so that they don't scatter.
Yeah, so you see after a few seconds, this lock clicks open, and one of the other Sprigatito pulls it off and just has these chains sent to the sides, and the three of them working together. The twig goes back in the one. You can kind of tell that this is the leader because it's the one. The other two use their mouths to open up these cellar doors, and again, it's quiet, but since you're out there, you can hear the creak of this wood. But it is surprisingly quiet and coordinated for three wild Pokemon. And you see this leader as the twig is back again in its head. It looks left, it looks right, and kind of nods and walks down the cellar, walks down the stairs as the other two follow suit.
Guinan somersaults out of the bush.
I was gonna say Brutus stands up slowly and quietly.
Yeah, I was going to say Clyde sneaks to the cellar doors. But I feel like I want to see Guinan do a front flip.
It's just a somersault, and it's not very good. She's a little bit askew.
Go ahead and roll me 2d6 plus speed.
Oh, God. Okay, I have a -1. 6.
Okay. With a 6, you somersault out of this bush. The rustling of it is enough to, you see the third one was just walking down was basically on the last stair of the cellar, and it freezes. You see one of the Sprigatito that's further into the cellar, you see it makes it mews, and all three basically try and cheese it. I will say, Brutus and Clyde, since you guys are there and ready, you two are going to act first. But you see these three Sprigatito, one of them doesn't have anything. The leader, you see it holding one of those links of sausages in its mouth, and the other has a small sack of oats, and they're just trying to bolt.
What's your plan? I have a plan if you don't have one.
I have a plan. Whether it will work or not is the other question.
I think Brutus is going to attempt to shut the door.
All right. Go ahead and roll me 2d6 plus attack. I'm rolling an opposed speed check.
That it's a 12. Not natural.
All right. Even with that, you are able to shut the cellar doors before even that first one is able to scamper out. And you feel that they are, trying to butt their heads against the door of the cellar, but again, they're small and they look to be smaller than what you would expect for these Pokemon. So you are easily able to hold them in the cellar.
Yeah, he just sort of puts his foot on the door. Well, we've got him trapped. What do we want to do with these things?
As you look around at Clyde, you see Clyde with Riolu, just both feet on his hand, getting ready to launch him.
Guinan is covered in bush debris and trying to brush herself off and get over there really fast, very shamefully. Sandile's right behind her, meh.
So I will say that you guys were able to get the jump on them. You trapped them in the cellar. So there's really not a whole lot that they can do other than they just are very sadly mewing from the other side of the door.
Yeah, but this is the most dangerous time. We have 3 cats waiting to squirt out of this door as fast as they can.
So the way I see it is we've got 2 options. Well, yeah, 2 options. Both start with putting the chain back on the cellar so they can't get out and you can take your foot off.
I can stand here all night.
Yeah, but we might need you to not stand there all night.
What do you want to do with them?
Okay, what's it? 2 options. First, we can go upstairs, tell the Santa Claus guy. Is that right? Guinan, Santa Claus?
Yeah, that's right.
Or Santa Claus guy upstairs that we got the culprits. Or you can give me 20 minutes to fashion a net and we'll catch them all in a net as they spring out.
I was going to suggest we find a potato sack, but I love this net idea.
I am also on the side of catching them as opposed to giving them over to the guy. He didn't give us he didn't specify how we needed to get rid of them. Only that he wanted the problem solved, and I'd rather do this humanely instead of letting him deal with them.
Yeah, I don't want to eat sprigatito for breakfast tomorrow.
True.
Actually, Clyde, as you're discussing, I need you to roll 2d6 plus special for your pokey speech.
10.
Okay, so with a 10, so I mean, of course, all 3 of them, you can just get help, help us, let us out. And, in that, you also hear dialogue of this one leader talking to the other 2, and they're just kind of very frantic. And again, this is not something that is super refined, so you only get a word or 2 here and there, but you hear 2 of them that sound more frightened than the third, saying something to the effect of why did we have to do this? Why one more night? And you see the third said, "Mother's hungry every night."
So as Clyde's talking about this net, he's going to stop in his tracks with what he's saying. He's going to think for a second and goes, "There's another one."
What do you mean there's another one?
They're talking that they're not doing this for themselves. You did notice that they were very slim, almost skeletal to a point.
Very underfed, yes.
2 of them absolutely shit themselves, understandable. But the third one mentioned about a mother forcing them to do this.
Did you say he mentioned it?
He mentioned it.
Let's revisit that a little bit.
I mean, if you remember, just over 24 hours ago, I spoke to the Pompous Pricks Pokemon.
Well, everybody can speak to a Pokemon. They understand us.
Yeah, but do you understand them?
No, because I'm not crazy.
We'll put a pin in that at some point, too.
Says the woman who mentioned sex dreams.
I did not have a sex dream. It was a nightmare.
Didn't sound like it when you were explaining it. But I can speak to Pokemon. I can speak in the Pokemon language, and I can understand the Pokemon. I spoke to your Squirtle, Brutus. I can't remember if I spoke to Sandile, but I did speak to Squirtle when he was on your back.
Brutus looks at Brick, and they just sort of stare at each other dumbly.
If this happened to Brick does not remember.
Right, I'm going to look at Sandile and go, I'm going to speak in pokey speech, so I'm not going to use human words. And I'm going to tell Sandile to nod his head if he understands what I'm saying.
You see Sandile, as you bend down to talk to the Sandile, you just see the Sandile just look up at you with this dumb smile, nothing in its eyes, and it doesn't nod, but it's just it hears you, and it's
Guinan pats him on the head.
Oh, I'm surrounded by idiots.
And Clyde, what you get from that is just hi.
Brutus looks between Clyde and Guinan and is like,
feel like I'm the sanest one in this group, and that's not a good thing.
Hey, for all we know, you're a Pokemon murderer. We don't know about your Pokemon you had. So until we clear that up, we don't know if you're the sanest person here. But there is a fourth Pokemon out there.
Clyde, as you're talking to the group, you once again hear these Sprigatito, and it sounds like now they are able to hear that there are people on the other side. And so one of them, again, one of these like smaller, more frightened voices, you just hear it say, "Please let us go. Sorry." And the more confident one is just like, "Humans no understand."
I'm going to speak back and go, if you drop the food that you have stolen, we'll open the doors.
You hear one of them say, "Need food for mother, help." And then you hear the other one say, "Sorry, mother hurt."
I can help your mother, but you cannot steal the food.
You hear, "How help mother, no food. Mother hungry, can't hunt."
I have a magical liquid that will heal her.
You heal mother?
Yes.
Promise?
Promise. Swearsies, realsies.
You hear just like some chatter going on for a few seconds. And then finally you hear again the more confident voice say, "Okay, no food. We'll lead you to mother."
Okay, I'm gonna look at Brutus and go, "Take your foot off."
Are you sure about this?
I'm right. You might think I'm a crazy person who has to go to hell and fight a woman for many different reasons, but I can tell you with all the certainty of everything you've seen me do, I have never made a mistake in the actions I've done so far.
Fine. And he'll step off of it.
I'm gonna open the doors and go, "Lead away."
You see the one Sprigatito, again, the one with like the twig in its head, very cautiously like take a few steps out, look around, and you see the other two like run back down the stairs before you hear this leader say, "Said would help mother.
Yes.
No scare." And
no scared.
And you see the one nods, and then the other two again very slowly walk up the stairs, and the leader starts walking back towards where you noticed these footprints coming from, and looks back and says, "Can see?"
I can see. Yes. Lead the way.
Yes. And you see these three. They're just kind of walking through this brush.
I'm gonna follow.
Guinan makes like frantic eye contact with Brutus. Like, are we gonna?
Yeah, I think so. He follows.
She shuts the cellar doors and then follows.
Yeah, so you guys walk for about 10 minutes through the woods. These Sprigatito are going slowly enough to where you're not going to lose them even in the dark. And as you come to this small clearing, you see the mouth of a small cave in like a rock face. And the one Sprigatito says, "Mother, no like human, me go in, explain."
Okay. I will sit here and wait for you to come back.
Sprigatito says, "Brothers stay with humans," and walks in. You can see these two Sprigatito, they're still very scared, but they are now kind of more curious of you three.
I'm gonna sit crisscross applesauce, and I'm gonna pull out some pecha berries. Like I probably have like a pecha berry salve, and I'm just gonna like offer it to these Sprigatito, and be like, "You can eat this. It'll help you feel better."
Swearsies, realsies?
Swearsies, realsies.
And the two of them just go to town on this like berry thing. And they are just, I mean, they are eating very, much. And so after a couple minutes, the Sprigatito says, okay, humans enter.
Okay. You guys ready? Their mother does not like humans. Be very careful. Be very polite. I'm looking at you, Brutus.
What did I do?
You were a bodyguard, so I don't want you to make any rash moves.
All I do is stand there and look menacing.
Try not to do that.
He holds a brick in front of him.
That'll work.
As you guys get to this cave, you realize that you're going to have to the entry is small to where you're going to have to crawl through to get to the main den.
Okay. Clyde's just going for it.
Guinan gives scritches to one of these little kittens and then follows right after Clyde.
You see, as you do that, the one Sprigatito that you were giving scritches to, just kind of nuzzles up against your leg. And as you guys crawl into this cave with these Sprigatito in tow, you see on a bed of what looks to be, just kind of clothes and old bags of burlap, from oats and things, fashioned into a makeshift bed. You see a Mightyena, and it is not making a hostile move, partially because in the light of the moon, again, as your eyes adjust to the darkness of the cave, you see that it has a couple of arrows lodged in the back of its, in one of its hind legs. And you can see that every time it moves its legs, it winces in pain. But you can see that it is just kind of doing a low growl. And Clyde, you're able to get stay back, no further.
Okay. Clyde's gonna put his hand out when you go to tame a dog, and go, it's okay. I promise I am not going to hurt you. Can I have a look at your hind legs?
Roll me 2d6 plus charisma. I will say, because you're doing pokey speech, you can roll this with advantage.
I got a 10.
Okay. So the Mightyena thinks for a second, and you hear this, this one leader, Sprigatito, say, human says will make you not hurt. And the Mightyena looks up at you, doesn't say anything, but just looks up at you and is giving you a massive side eye as it just kind of nods and allows you to get closer.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I have been hit with arrows before, so I know how to take them out. So he's gonna, gently take the arrows out. He's gonna go, this is going to hurt. I'm sorry in advance, but after I've done this, I can make you feel better.
I think at this point, the Mightyena knows that this is basically do or die, and it just kind of looks at you as if to say, just get it over with.
Okay, so I'm going to take the arrows out.
And as you do, there's 3 arrows in there, and every one you pull out, there's just this this howl of just pain. But the Mightyena, it will growl and it will make this just terrible howling sound, but it will allow you to continue.
Okay. And then after I've got the arrows out, I'm going to take some bandages like I mentioned in the first episode that I have in my satchel, wrap it up, and then I'm going to give the Mightyena a potion.
Yeah, and so as you wrap this up, again, the Mightyena winces, but as you spray this potion, you can tell that, well, this isn't necessarily healing the injury. It's definitely sanitizing it and stabilizing it, essentially. So you see this Mightyena just look up at you, and through gritted fangs, it just gives you a thank you through bared teeth.
Told you I wasn't going to hurt you.
You hear this one, this leader, Sprigatito, just look at you and say, humans kill real mother, new mother take care. And it just like looks over at this Mightyena.
I'm gonna walk over to that Sprigatito. I'm gonna kneel down, like scratch its head, and go. Not all humans are made equal. There are people like the three of us who would never kill a Pokemon.
Brutus holds his tongue because that's not entirely true.
It just looks at you and it says, "Better humans? You?"
We try to be as good as we can. Well, at least I do. I only met these two yesterday, so you know, I can only judge based off what I've seen. This guy used to protect people with one of his Pokemon that he has been battling with, and this lady has a dad who sticks his head in troughs of water.
Guinan is on her knees giving scritches.
All four of these Pokemon look at you, Guinan, and nod knowingly.
She gives thumbs up. She doesn't know why, but she thinks this is going really well for her.
Also, she, we don't know much about her, but she's in the eyes of Pokemon training, as far as I'm aware, she's a lot like you guys, young and impressionable. But a promise is a promise. I promised you I wouldn't hurt your mother, and I didn't.
You see this Mightyena look up at you, Clyde, and says, "Human, understand. Please give better life."
I'm gonna look at the Mightyena and go, "Are you sure?"
The Mightyena looks at its, now stabilizing, but still injured leg and says, "Can't hunt. We'll die here. Take them."
Okay, and I'm gonna go over to the Mightyena and stroke it, and I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna be like, "I'll come back with some food in the morning, so you can at least survive a bit longer, and hopefully make it out of here."
Are you still talking in Poke Speech, or is this?
I'm 100%. I don't think I've spoken actual human tongue in about 25 minutes.
I will say, Guinan and Brutus, you're like understanding the gist of the situation with like body language. You're seeing this this Mightyena calm down after being stabilized, and like look to Clyde and look to you two and look at these Sprigatito, and as much as a dog can look sad, it looks sad.
Guinan is just playing with kittens.
Brutus raises his hand and goes, Why don't we bring the dog back to the bar and let him be a guard dog?"
Yeah. Then nothing else will break into the cellar.
I'm gonna look at the pair of you, and I'm gonna like cover the Sprigatito's ears just for a moment. They don't need to hear this. So cover the ears and I go, "She's gonna die."
Not if she has help.
Yeah. Not if she has help and medicine.
I have seen this happen many times. Unfortunately, too many times for my liking. And Mightyena's a hell of a stubborn Pokemon. This is where she wants to die.
Should we take the kittens out so you can do the humane thing?
You hear this Mightyena. It thinks, and again you just hear, "Don't want die."
I'm gonna turn around.
If option, no die, please.
You made it sound so serious 40 seconds ago, like you knew this is where you were gonna die. Do you want me to try and save you with all my might? Because I will save you with all my might. I will pray to my God to give me the strength to get you out of this cave if that is what you want.
What humans saying looks to Guinan and Brutus. Guard dog?
Yeah, you know the cellar that these little Sprigatito have been stealing from?
You see this Mightyena looks at this like leader Sprigatito and is just like, children stealing.
Rightfully claiming. we know this guy. Guinan over here calls him Santa. No idea why. Who the hell's Santa?
His name Santa?
Apparently
Yes.
so. She's saying yes. She don't even know what you're saying, but she's agreeing. She knows that we're talking about this mystical man. But he needs someone to watch his cellar. If I can get you there and convince Santa, such a mad name, to look after you, would you do that? I'm not sure we can. He'll take the little thieves though.
You see this Mightyena consider this and says, go slow, but yes. And very slowly pushes itself up to a shaky forelegs.
Okay. I'm gonna, at this point, I'm gonna pray to Rayquaza just for all the strength that I can muster to get this Mightyena out. Because you said you have to crawl to get through, so...
We have a Brutus.
It's gonna have to... We do have a Brutus.
Yeah, but I also have to crawl to get out.
Brutus is taller than the Mightyena.
It looks like it could theoretically start walking if you go slow. Like, it can get out of the cave.
I mean, I could carry it once we're out of the cave.
Right. Guinan, you pick up 2 kittens.
Absolutely. No problem.
Brutus, you pick up the Mightyena. Brick, stand there and look cool.
Brick picks up the 3rd kitten.
You see all 3 of these kittens are very happy to not have to walk.
Sandile, can you make that tunnel slightly deeper, like at the bottom, so it's easier to crawl through?
It just looks at you and it says, me Sandile.
Sick.
That fucking tracks, huh?
There's always one.
Sven, you run ahead. You go and wake up that bastard Santa and get him to stand outside waiting for us to get back.
Sven nods and runs out of the cave, and you can see it kind of running back the way that you came.
Okay. I'm gonna look at the Mightyena. You ready?
It nods.
Okay, let's go, people. Operation Save the Dog is on the run.
Guinan salutes. 2 kittens under 1 arm.
As you guys get out of this cave, Pokemon in tow, you're able to pick up who you're all going to pick up and make it back to the Allfather's Hearth. And as you walk back into this back patio area, you see Benzema just kind of wiping the sleep from his eyes and sees you guys walking through and is just like,
oh man, it's gotta be. What time is it?
It's been like an hour, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah, well, it's the middle of the night and we don't have clocks invented yet, so...
Just use the stick method. Put the stick in the ground, look at the shadow. You know, like every other person does around here.
It's the middle of the night.
Shh, shh.
Big guy has a point.
Right. Right.
Anyway, what's the meaning of this?
This is your dog now.
Excuse me?
The Clyde Pokemon distribution system at work.
This Mightyena is yours now. I'm gonna look him like dead in the eyes and just be like, "You see that cellar? will be protected. You see this dog? This dog Pokemon will protect it. You will feed this dog Pokemon and look after it very well.
I think Benzema gets down on one knee and like looks over at the Mightyena and is just like, "This true? You my god dog now?" And you see the Mightyena nod and just like very slowly walk over to him, looks up at Clyde and is just like, "Can trust?"
Yes, but if he ever steps out of line, ask Sven what we did to the last pompous prick we dealt with. I will do the same thing to him.
You see as Sven is explaining in great detail what you did to Aldrich and his Yanma, Mightyena nods and then just like looks up at Benzema, who very slowly like reaches a hand to pet this Mightyena and is just like, "You're pretty cute, ain't it? I think I could put you to work. If you're willing to
Wait 1 second. Before you put it to work, you see the bandages on its hind leg.
Of course I see the bandages. You didn't let me finish there.
I mean, I don't know you as far as I could throw you, and honestly, I don't think I could throw you very far.
All right, fair enough.
I want you to make sure it's fully healed before you put it to work.
Right then.
And he looks at the Mightyena and is just like,
Right. Here's what I need you to do. It's your first order of business. Here at the All Father's Hearth, working for old Benzema. I need you to go inside, find yourself the comfiest place by the roaring fireplace. Take a nap. All right?
Fair.
If you're looking to be around here, I can make sure you can get food, shelter, happiness, companionship.
Is he crying? He seems lonely.
He does seem very
feels a
lonely.
little desperate, actually.
I think
Santa?
as he's like, as he's like talking to this Pokemon, he's just like, you can hear his voice breaking, and he's just like,
Well, putting two and two together, I think I know what's going on. You were taking care of family. You were taking care of others. Nobody was taking care of you. That's right, Sad. Well, don't you worry. You're never gonna have to worry about nothing again. Oh, Benzema.
Right, dude, go inside, have a nice glass of warm milk, and go back to bed. We'll talk about this in the morning, okay? You've had a busy night. You just need to calm down, go to sleep.
Rooms are upstairs, mate. On the house.
Yeah, sound. Yeah, we'll be in a moment. You just go and do what you need to do, dude.
and he holds the door open for Mightyena, who slowly walks in. Again, looks at all three of you, gives you a nod, and walks in to go find a comfy spot.
Right, now this is the hard part. That was the easy part. This is the hard part. How do we distribute these three?
Well, I mean, we can just bring them with us for now until we find the next major city, and we can find somebody who wants some good little kittens.
Yeah,
that wasn't the promise.
What do you mean?
She asked us to raise them and give them a good life. Not for us to give them away.
Fair point.
Well, what if somebody can give them a better life than we can?
Brutus, as you say that, you see that this one Sprigatito has been just like climbing up your leg and is just like sniffing around your belt, accidentally touches one of the Pokeballs that's on the belt, gets sucked up.
Okay, that one's yours.
Guinan, the one that you've been like playing with this night is just like doing the thing where it's like figurating against your ankles.
That one's yours.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Guinan keeps tripping, but she picks it up anyway. Yes.
Simba. And Clyde, the one that is left is the one with the twig in its hair, the leader. And it just looks at you and nods and again quickly climbs up your leg and onto your shoulder.
Sick. Give it like a fist bump.
It just hits it with its head and it's just like,
sick.
You mother?
Yes.
Nah, bro. I'm Clyde, and you. I'll think of a name overnight, but we're gonna get you a cool name, okay?
You see this Sprigatito turn to the other one that is still out and is just like, Clyde, new mother.
Guinan is spinning in a circle. This is Kevin.
Sick.